Hello and welcome back to TICKER Cyber, where we are encouraging you to get on top of your cybersecurity by building cyber fitness into your home and business. I'm Mike Loader, and joining me today from Cinch Security is Susie Jones. Welcome to the program.
Hi Mike, good to see you again.
You too. Now, what are we going to be discussing on the program today?
Yeah, so yesterday the Australian Cybersecurity Centre released some new data that shows that a cyber attack is reported to them every 8 minutes in Australia. So this really means that small businesses need to be on the defence, and we'll talk through what that means for them. And we also have organisations like that founded by our guest Jackie Listow has never been more important. So we'll talk to her about the Australian Women in Security Network and their latest initiatives.
Awesome. Well, we've got Jackie Listow from Australian Women in Security Network joining us on the panel as well. Welcome to you, Jackie.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. All right, let's jump into this first one, Susie. It's some pretty scary statistics coming out of the ACSC. Let's go through a little bit about what's going on with those.
Yeah, so the annual cyber threat report was released by the ACSC yesterday, and it highlights an incident is reported to them every 8 minutes in Australia. So this is an increase from every 10 minutes the year before. And a higher proportion of the security incidents that are reported this financial year were categorised by the ACSC as substantial in impact. So this is showing that not only are there more attacks happening, but that the outcomes are worse for businesses across Australia. So the increased frequency of cyber criminal activities is compounded by the increased complexity and sophistication of their operations and the accessibility of cybercrime services such as ransomware as a service that we've spoken about before on previous episodes via the dark web, increasingly opening up the market to a growing number of malicious actors without sophisticated technical expertise and without significant financial investment. So it's easier for these companies or organisations, to attack Australian companies.
Oh, so what does all this mean for those of us who may not be across all these numbers? And what does it mean specifically, I suppose, to Aussie businesses who need to defend themselves or get some information so they know how to defend themselves in the first place?
Yeah, so amongst other things, it means that more and more businesses are going to need to call on a cybersecurity expert in the near future. And this is going to be a challenge for the majority of small businesses across the country, as there simply aren't enough experts to go around. In just the last week, we've heard about a huge range of cybersecurity issues, such as Yandex having an outage, ReEvil is back, issues with Fortinet firewalls, new Windows vulnerabilities, Azure is having problems, and a raft of security patching being required for Apple devices. So if all of that sounds complicated to your viewers, imagine being a small business owner trying to navigate all of that. So it's clear that we're going to need more goodies in the fight than there are the baddies that are out there. And that's why we've invited Jackie on today, so she can talk about some of the fantastic initiatives her and her team at the AWSN have devised to really increase the diversity of the skills pool within Australia.
I listen to you sometimes, Susie, and I just get more and more worried about what's going on out there in the internet and in the world. But by the end of the program, I usually feel a lot better. So Jackie, let's bring you in. And can you talk to us a little bit about some of the fantastic initiatives that you and your team at AWSN are undertaking to increase the number of women joining this field and thus increasing the number of experts available to small businesses and such, as Susie mentioned?
Sure. So I started the AWSN 7 years ago after I'd spent 14 years over in Europe. And I remember walking into a conference and it was just a room full of men. And I was like, what's going on here? You know, security is such an interesting area to work in. And I really love working in it. It's so diverse. You can do it anywhere. You can actually make a difference. And there is so many jobs that are out there that's really exciting. So I walked into this room and I just went, where are the women? This is something that we need to get more women into as a really great career area. So I went to some people, I started to ask around and I connected a few women. And what we decided to do was to try and connect to separate women that are in different organizations together. And that's kind of how the AWSN started. We started to do little casual meetups, and we then expanded to different states across the nation. And what we then started to do was to have events where we had a guest speaker come and talk. Then what we did was we then started to do some workshops where we'd have an industry person come in and talk about the different areas of security. And it really then started to expose these women to different areas of security that are out there. So it's not just, somebody in a dark room, hacking into networks. It's actually something that it's an exciting career where people are there to protect, people's networks and protect small businesses and to protect our country. So we've started to now launch a few more different initiatives, like a mentoring program, getting more internship opportunities, trying to encourage more high school students to consider a career in cybersecurity. We've got a security job profile project, which aims to try and describe all the different careers that you could possibly take. We've partnered with different organisations to do an awards, a magazine, also to encourage more women to get on the speaking circuit, so to talk at conferences and to share their knowledge, because what we found is that a lot of women, if they can't see that particular person, then it's not a career that they would aspire to actually pursue. So and most recently, we've also launched another initiative called the Cyber Shift Alliance, where we're trying to encourage a lot of organisations and companies to have a look to increase the diversity in their organisations, but also to make it a really great place to work.
Fantastic.
And most recently, the last couple of weeks, we have launched the Security Pathways program and are about to launch our Women in Leadership program.
Well, I was just going to ask, and you've given me this fantastic rundown, but can you tell us a bit more about the Security Pathways initiative specifically and what it's looking to achieve?
Sure. So when we were speaking to some women saying, look, security is a really interesting area to work in, a lot of them were quite intimidated or quite not really sure about whether or not that is a career that they wanted to pursue. So what we were saying to them is, okay, we really would love to get more women or different people that are working in cybersecurity. So we need people that can come into an organisation and look at things a little bit differently. We would love to have people that have had years of IT experience that we can then help them learn about the cybersecurity landscape and the risks landscape, and then be working in this particular sector. Because as Susie has said, we need more people that are working in this particular sector. So what the Security Pathways program aims to achieve is that we want to provide workshops where women can practice their technical skills in a accessible kind of environment. So they'll be working together, having a look at what the latest threats are. And with our training partner, CyberMerc, they are a really great organisation that usually train cyber defence forces. And what they do is they use the latest cyber threat intelligence and adversary tactics to keep their modules up to date. So we know that our participants are going to be getting the most current training, which is really exciting. And so I'm really excited about this particular initiative because, there's actually a very good need, and we've had a defence company sponsor this particular initiative, as well as the support of a lot of the corporates and academia that are around in our industry have been getting behind this initiative, which is really exciting. And in the first evening that we sent this out, the notification of this program, it was already full. So it's a really good sign that this program, there's a real need for something like this to be in our particular industry.
Incredible. I was going to ask how it was being received. Susie, just off the cuff, I've heard the term space cybersecurity thrown around in the newsroom today based on the SpaceX launch we've seen. Is cybersecurity in space yet? Just quickly.
Absolutely. There's an awful lot of technology that sits behind those rockets that throw these people up into space. So absolutely, cybersecurity is huge within the space industry, just like it is every defence industry and anything that is launching anything off into the ether.
I just wanted to touch on that one because as Jackie said about defence, but Jackie, I'll come back to you. And can you tell us a little bit about the Women in Leadership program as well? You got a few things going on. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting. So we know that the issue of women not being in leadership positions is not just unique to women in security. The Women Gender Equality Agency has often talked about how women are underrepresented in a lot of those key decision-making roles in the C-suite. But what we're trying to do is try to do something with the areas that we can actually influence, which is our particular area, security. So what we're doing is we're doing a couple of initiatives where we're going to be helping organizations. So it's going to be a top-down, bottom-up approach, we kind of call it. So top-down, it's about how can we help organizations to increase the number of women that are in their leadership positions. So it's really great over the years. We've had a lot of organizations come to me to say, look, what can we do to increase the number of women that are in our teams? What can we do to get more women in leadership positions? And it's really refreshing that they're actually asking that, as opposed to why is diversity important, which I think is a good sign that things are changing. So what we're doing also is that we're going to be helping equip women that are wanting to be in leadership positions with the tools to be able to take on those leadership positions, to get them connected and networked with other women that are of that have similar goals, and also to provide them with mentoring opportunities and a security leadership forum where they can come together and discuss ideas and to network as well. Because it's very important, the networking aspect, to help keep yourself accountable for the things that you're doing, to speak to somebody else to say, hey, I'm not really sure about this. Do you have an idea on what I should do in this particular situation or this particular scenario?
Fantastic.
So we're really excited that we're going to be offering these different types of training over the next few weeks.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. Susie, do you want to just to wrap the program, give us a little bit of a rundown of what we've spoken about today and summarize for us? And Jackie, thank you again for coming on the program. It's awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic to have Jackie on the program. She and I have known each other for quite some time. She worked at Cinch for quite some time, and I'm inspired by what she does every day. So I guess to wrap up for two things. So for women out there that are interested in a career in where you can really make a difference, where you can work in a growth industry, and really use the skills that you might have developed across other industries and workplaces, then consider cybersecurity and look into the Australian Women in Security Network, because they can help you find your people, they can help you get support and access technical training. And secondly, as always, for businesses out there thinking about looking for cybersecurity support, keep in mind that it's getting harder and harder to find consultants that will be able to help you. So consider looking into scalable solutions like what we offer and others, or get in early, because time's running out when it comes to all of these attacks, and get out there. There's support available, so make sure that you're reaching out.
Awesome work from you guys. Thank you so much again for joining me on today's episode of TICKER Cyber.
Thanks, Mike.
Easy.
Thanks, Mike.
Some fantastic and really important topics from today's program. And of course, today's chat was presented by the team over at Cinch with a C. So if you'd like to learn more, head over to their website and find out how Cinch will keep you on top of today's threats so that your business will continue to grow tomorrow. Defense is key, guys. I'm Mike Loder, and thank you so much for joining me on today's program. I'll see you again soon.